Well, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with that Weather First forecast. But before he gets into tonight's 10-day forecast, he's looking way into the future on what we can expect over the next few months.
Yeah, the next few months, it's time for that winter weather outlook. So despite a warmer and drier than average fall, that fall color around St. Louis did not disappoint. Now that those leaves are falling, we're looking ahead with a winter weather outlook. Even with that brief cold snap arriving before Halloween, the cold didn't last, and that is likely an indicator of how this winter plays out. Bernadette Woods-Plackey is with Climate Central.
We're still going to get winter. It's just changing as things warm around the globe. And the way we're seeing that play out in St. Louis is sort of shrinking our winter season.
She says over the last 50 years, the tendency for lengthy cold snaps is decreasing. We still get an Arctic blast from time to time, but the frigid air tends not to linger. After 3 years with a La Nina pattern in the equatorial Pacific Ocean, the water there is now warmer. El Nino has developed. It's getting stronger. The Pacific Ocean holds clues to the larger climate patterns that drive seasonal weather. Dr. Tony Lupo is an atmospheric scientist at Mizzou.
What we call classic El Ninos, that tends to have a very strong signal in the northern tier of states where things are well above normal temperature-wise and well below normal precipitation-wise. And then in the southern tier of states, you get the opposite pattern, a little bit below normal temperatures and wetter conditions.
Since 1950, there have been 11 strong or very strong El Nino patterns. In St. Louis, some have been wetter than average, some drier, some warmer than average, others not so much. In most of those 11 years, snowfall was a little lower than normal.
I-70 and Columbia and St. Louis are right in that middle ground between the two strong signals. So depending on the shape of the El Nino in the Pacific itself and the jet stream's ultimate pattern, or how it settles.
In addition to El Nino in the Pacific, sea surface temperatures around the world were warmer this summer than they've ever been. This could be a wild card in the winter ahead.
We're an ocean planet. And so when we see our weather patterns move around the world, they're really affected by what's happening in the ocean.
With all that unusually warm water, temperatures will be warmer than average in St. Louis. Cold air will depend on the polar vortex. When it delivers the cold air to our area, it probably won't last. That cold air and a favorable storm track are needed for us to get snow or ice. We only had about 5 inches of snow last winter. This year, we'll likely see more. Overall, though, near or a bit below average precipitation. Now, our winter forecast does give a hat tip to next year's Muni schedule. Anything goes. Don't discount the possibility of an impactful winter storm, especially during January into February. But the snow chances, again, look pretty limited this winter. And as always, we have to watch out for any severe weather potential from volatile weather patterns if it gets warm and humid. We do think temperature-wise, it's going to end up being quite mild around St. Louis into December with just limited intrusions of cold air. January briefly cold at times. And February looks a rather average month as far as temperatures. But overall, for those 3 months, we're expecting temperatures to be 2 to 3 degrees above average. As we look towards the rain and snow, well, we're in a drought. And dry conditions more likely than not will prevail for a good chunk of the winter. But we do tend to get some bigger storms here during this time. December should be mostly rain. But as we head into January and February, the potential's there to watch for at least 1 or 2 significant winter weather events. We're watching. But overall, again, it looks like it's a little drier than average. The drought would linger and snowfall amounts coming in below that 16.6 inches that we would traditionally see over the 30-year average from November into March. Now, tonight there's no snow on the radar screen. It's cooler, sure, but we're still around 50. This is rain on the radar screen, but it's not hitting your rain gauge down across southeastern portions of Missouri, southern Illinois, until you get farther south, heading down towards the Boot Heel. This system, a southern track system, is going to be sliding by to our south as we head through the early morning hours tomorrow, and that will eventually bring the clearing line into St. Louis. So we'll see improving conditions by daybreak tomorrow. Should see a pretty sunrise, actually, in many spots. It's still 51. 58 was the high today before the clouds rolled in. Once they were there, temperatures kind of eased off a little bit. As we clear out north and west of St. Louis, we'll drop into the 30s, but in St. Louis, we should start out tomorrow morning in the lower 40s. Pretty close to average for this time of year. Clouds scoot away. You have lots of sunshine going into tomorrow afternoon. Under bright skies, our temperatures top out back into the 50s and 60s. If you're heading tomorrow evening to any of those high school football games, playoff games going on around the area, it will be a chilly night. It'll quickly drop into the 30s. Saturday morning is the coldest morning that we will see out of the next 10. By next week, temperatures are back into the mid 60s. It's dry this weekend. Outside of a few clouds later on Saturday, temperatures are pretty close to the average for this time of year.
All right, Scott, thanks.